right by us, big dog.
So, residents of D.C. may wonder today what's blocking our path and what's preventing us from visiting our supposed White House, which supposedly belongs to the people of America. Well, it's quite simple. Privileged Europeans and imperialists and bankers from all over the world have decided to come into the swamp that is Washington and come on down to this NATO conference, this alliance of criminals, war criminals. NATO is a fascist criminal alliance with blood on its hands, blood from its drones and its bombs and its weapons. NATO destroyed the nation of Yugoslavia. It continued to bomb and carve up Serbia. It destroyed Libya and turned the most prosperous country on the African continent into a country with open slave markets. That's the result of the NATO defensive alliance. NATO wastes your taxpayer dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars that could be spent at home for American working families are being spent on this fascist alliance, which right now is driving us into World War III, which could kill not only Americans, but all the peoples of the world. This criminal alliance started in 1949 by former Nazis, and that's what NATO is. Don't get it twisted, folks. NATO's a fascist alliance started by Nazis. All you need to do is look up Adolf Heusinger, Reinhard Gehlen, and all the other good old Germans who became part of NATO and who started NATO. They served the Third Reich. They fought against the Soviet Union. The blood of millions of Slavic peoples from Poland, the Soviet Union, the Baltic, the Ukraine is on their hands. We as American patriots do not want our taxpayer money going abroad. We as American patriots need roads, bridges, infrastructure, housing, education for our people at home. Not bombs, not missiles, not ATACMS, not drones. The American people are sick of NATO. We are sick of our taxpayer money going to these European welfare states while we suffer at home without infrastructure, without jobs, without adequate housing for the American people, with crack addicts roaming the street, with homeless encampments a block from here. You go a block from here in D.C., you'll see a homeless encampment. It's for this reason, folks, that we need to abolish NATO, save America, free America from NATO, and build an America that isn't imperialist, that supports the rights of peoples to self-determination, and that supports the people of the world, not bomb them. The American empire has bombed the people in Iraq. It's bombed the people of Afghanistan. It bombed the people of Korea, the people of Vietnam. Endless bombs and war. And for what? For American people to go homeless? For our own children to have to shut down the entire economy? For an economy based upon profits and war, not on people's welfare? What are we doing? Why are we funding this alliance of terrorists, of murderers, that has nothing but the blood of people on its hands? NATO is a criminal alliance, and it needs to be abolished, and we need to put this country first and stop supporting this criminal regime. They felt the need to shut down an entire street so their precious Joe Biden can go stammer abound. You saw he performed in that debate. He's a zombie. If the Democrats had any sense, they'd get rid of him, but they don't have any sense, nor do the Republicans. The two-party system needs to go. The support for NATO needs to go. We need an American party of the working class, an American party of working families to fight for this country, the American workers. The NATO alliance, as it turns out, is not just confined to the North Atlantic. NATO has partnerships with Israel, the Zionist settler colonial regime, which was responsible for a genocide of 182,000 Palestinians. As we speak, your taxpayer dollars, your money is going to these criminals. It's going to these criminals who are murdering the people of Palestine, who have murdered the people of the Arab world, and who are destabilizing the entire Middle East. In order for you to be an American, and in order to fight against imperialism, which is in our tradition, in 1776 we rose up against the British Empire. The Palestinians did the same thing on October 7th. They're rising up against an imperialist invention called Israel. And we say as American patriots, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
No to NATO, no to Israel, no to Zionism, no to fascism. Defund NATO!
Defund NATO!
Defund NATO!
Defund NATO!
Thank you.
not only defund, folks, but we're here because we see that this criminal organization won't stop. We know they won't stop because they haven't even had an inclination to stop. Because our people in power, our incompetent government, is funding them. And is funding them so they can't stop. Hundreds of billions of dollars going to this NATO terrorist organization. Hundreds of billions of dollars that be going to you. Be going to me. Be going to build our roads, build our bridges, build our highways, build our fast trains. We need reliable transportation, and the trains we got are slow as hell. I'm well aware of this. I've taken it myself. Many times have I been on this metro, and I'm telling you, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing at all. Our metro system pales in comparison even to the likes of Russia, the one who we're fighting against. And the fascist NATO corporation that's stealing our money is doing exactly that. They're stealing it so we can't build bridges. They're stealing it so they can't build shit. The only thing they want to build is dissent in Europe. They want to wear their fancy hats and walk around our city like they're the boss. In reality, we know that their fancy hats mean nothing, just a relic of their colonialism. That's what it is, folks. They're a relic of the past. That's what Europe is, but we keep trying to push it. And it takes a lot of money to push something like that. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to push it. But they know they need it. And so they know that they can fund this propaganda machine to pump the likes of Ukrainian nationalists into our media. Pump the likes of Ukrainian Nazis into our media. Pump the likes of Zelensky, Mr. Cocaina, into our media. Mr. Zelensky looks like he hasn't showered in 12 weeks. And why is that? NATO will pay for his weapons, but they sure won't pay for his bathroom. They can't go in there. They'll see too much residue of cocaine, too much residue of methamphetamine. And we can't do that, can we? Nuh-uh. No sirree, Bob. Methamphetamine is Mr. Zelensky's #1 weapon of mass destruction. But you know what? He wants a second. He wants nuclear annihilation for the United States and Russia. Because that's what he cares about. He cares about his national sovereignty. That's what he thinks he cares about. In reality, he only cares about the 15,000 dead Ukrainians who are lying down there in some mass grave in the Donbass in 2014 because he killed them all. He kills them. He kills civilians. He's Mr. Civilian Slaughterer. And you know what? What's worse than a civilian slaughterer? A civilian slaughterer on cocaine. That's what Zelensky is. He's hyped up by the American government. He's hyped up by the Mexican cartels. And you know what? It's not going to stop here because we need to take our stand to NATO. We need to take our stand to these European bandits who come in wearing their nice little fancy suits, their nice little fancy hats, their nice little fancy uniforms. We need to show them that this Ukrainian propaganda needs to end. Russia is not our enemy. Russia is a literally neighboring nation. If they look at Alaska, we share a maritime border with them. Why must we have such aggressive tendencies towards our neighbors? You know what? I think I'm very well assured that I know exactly why. Because these neoliberals in power, Mr. Joseph R. Biden, Mr. Donald J. Trump, they know that they want to expand their power around the world because that's all it is. But you know what we do here at the World Anti-Imperialist Platform? We speak truth to power. We speak truth to these idiots. We speak truth to these imbeciles because we know that's the only way that we can do it. We know that that's the only way we can get our voice across. Because these NATO criminals who come in, taking our money by the hundreds of billions of dollars, they know that they're taking it from the American people. And they know that the American people don't know that they're being stolen from. The American people don't know that they are being put under a spell by the global elite to push down on us. The bourgeoisie, the upper class, I don't care what you want to call them. They're pushing us down. The proletariat, the hard-working Americans I see all around me today. The hard-working Americans who don't take this shit. We don't take the shit of the European colonists who conquered us in 1776. You know what? We didn't get fully conquered, did we? Because we went back. We fought. We fought hard. And George Washington marched across that Delaware and kicked them back to Britain. Yorktown was not the cessation of the British Empire. The cessation of the British Empire led to the cessation of NATO. NATO needs to end. NATO needs to be destroyed. NATO needs to be abolished. NATO needs to be disbanded. Whatever negative adjective you can think of about NATO, I'll speak it. Because I don't like NATO. I don't like these damn elite Europeans coming into our cities, coming into our towns, coming into our country, polluting our American way of life. I don't stand for it. I'm a proud American. A proud American of immigrant family. And you know what they escaped their home countries for? They escaped their home countries because of what NATO did to them. Russia is a fraction of its former self. NATO did this. There were people on the streets in Russia selling themselves for prostitution purposes because they couldn't make a living, because their jobs were sold down the river after the collapse of the USSR. And that was NATO's fault. NATO did it. NATO is the killer of countries. NATO is the largest slave trade organizer in the world. NATO is the #1 global terrorist organization. And yet, we say that we don't negotiate with terrorists, do we? We say that we hate terrorism. We call anyone who supports Palestine a Hamas supporter. Oh yeah, you know what? I support Hamas. I support them because they are resistance fighters against the apartheid state of Israel. And I don't care what anyone says. The secular Zionists need to go away, need to go back to Europe where they came from, because they know how to be a colonist. And why don't they just colonialize Europe? Why are they stuck in the Middle East? Why are they stuck exploiting the dishonorable people of Israel? The people whose lies have been pushed into our faces forever. They've done it over and over. The secular Zionists are the ones who are killing Palestinians. Not the real hardworking Jews in America and Europe. Not the real hardworking Jews who just happen to be brought over into Israel. No. We are not against these Jews. We are against the secular Zionists and the Jewish Zionists who come in and kill Palestinian children. And we don't care. By any means necessary, they should be expelled. They should go right back to Europe because they are not Jewish. They are fakes. They are phonies. They are frauds. And you know how I know they're frauds? It's because they're Europeans. And the European colonists are all frauds, all phonies, all fakes, and all masters of colonialism. They're masters. They've got their doctorates. They got their masters in freaking colonialism. They are the #1 terrorists in the world, and we got to stop it here because I can't stand it. I can't stand it at all. NATO needs to go away. NATO needs to stop polluting the Pacific with its dirty, dirty troops. NATO needs to stop polluting the Pacific with its people that they send over from America who should be defending America. America should be for Americans, and the Pacific should be for the Pacific Islanders, and for the Chinese, and for the Vietnamese, for the Thailand, whatever, doesn't matter. They just need to be by themselves. Get NATO the hell out. It's a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Rather, a North Atlantic terrorist organization. But you know what? I digress. NATO needs to stop. It all needs to stop. Its imperialism must end, and us here at the World Anti-Imperialist Platform say that we must disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
The people have spoken. The people know. The people don't want their hundreds of billions of dollars getting robbed from them by these European colonialists. That's what they are. They're European colonialists who try to dictate the American system of governance. The European colonists come to our country and tell us how it is to be done. They declare that they need money. They declare that they need power. You know what? They don't need nothing. They don't need nothing at all. The working people need everything. The working people need better jobs. The working people need better wages. The working people need better lives. And these people are holding it above our heads, saying that if we do X, then we'll get Y. But we've been doing a lot of X, haven't we? We've been doing a lot and a lot and a lot for them, but they have not given back, that's for sure. And I think anyone up here will tell you that they have done nothing for us as Americans. Nothing. Us working Americans are suffering every single day. The Palestinian children are suffering every single day. The Ukrainian children are suffering every single day by this Western-backed war. Nobody wants to know that it started in 2014. Nobody seems to care about that, do they? Nobody seems to care that the thousands of children they killed are because of the West. Nobody seems to care, do they? Because they want to push their own narrative. And the mass media will tell it right to your face. They'll tell it right to your face, and they'll hide it with fact checks and whatever. People who are supposed experts in geopolitics. There are no experts in geopolitics. All there are a bunch of cronies wearing suits who pretend they know what's going on in the world. We know they have no idea. But you know, they want to have an idea, so they dictate it to everyone else. The American government system is trying to push our imperialist power on every other country, and I'm saying no to it. Because I see that this costs too much. It brings nothing back for us. It does nothing for us. In fact, it only just strengthens the Chinese. Every dollar we spent in Ukraine is a dollar that goes to the Chinese. Every dollar that's spent in Taiwan is a dollar that's going to the Chinese. Every dollar that's spent anywhere around the world is a dollar straight to Xi Jinping. And you know what? Maybe that's a little funny, but I don't like it. I like my American tax dollars to be in America. And if the Chinese want to do their Belt and Road Initiative or whatever the hell they think that they can do, let them. Let them. We don't need to stop them. What's the point? We know that we are the world's greatest country and we can defeat anyone in trade. So let's stop. Let's stop using our military might to bully every other country in the line. It's not the way things are. The world is a garden. The world is an ecosystem. And every ideology must grow. And the strongest, I assure you, will take power. And I am well aware of what the strongest ideology is. And it is the ideology of socialism. It is the ideology of scientific Marxism that'll defeat the colonialist oppressors. Because I am well aware. I am well versed. I've done my readings. I've done my analysis. I've seen it. I've seen it in Africa. I've seen it in Europe. And I know the truth. The anti-imperialist platform speaks it to everyone who watches, speaks it to everyone who dares challenge the narrative. The press never cover shit. In fact, they don't cover anything. They don't even talk about the Ukrainian Nazis who were killed. They don't even talk about the fact that the Bucha massacre was actually done by Ukrainian soldiers. They don't even talk about the fact that a Ukrainian missile hit a hospital, killing hundreds of people. I don't care about that. That's their business, not mine. But you know who I do care about? I care about our hearts and minds who are being polluted by this mass media and who's being lied to by this mass media. And they're telling us that Russia's the enemy. Why is Russia the enemy? What has Russia done to us? They gave us Alaska, and then we had a little bit of a feud during the communist era. And now what? They're capitalists now. What do we do? What do we do? We just keep pushing them. What do we want from them? We want nothing. We want nothing but to just assert our global dominance. And I'm here to stop that. I'm here to say that we did an open door policy in China. We did an open door policy everywhere else. But you know what? We're not doing an open door policy in Europe, are we? That's right. Hey, look, we got a guy saying F Russia. You know what? He should be conscripted, sent right to the Ukrainian front lines. Send him. He's valiant, a valiant warrior. He needs to go. He's asking for it. Let him. Look at him run. Get him on the front lines, folks. I know there's some Ukrainian military back there. They can come out and grab him, just like they do on the streets of Odessa, just like they do on the streets of Kiev. Look at him run. He keeps running. Holy snap, we got a marathon runner, Forrest Gump. Not into Vietnam anymore, buddy. To Ukraine. Let him go. Let him die. Let him see what happens when they fight Russia. Because they know what happens when they fight Russia. They die. And we keep sending them to die because we hate Ukrainian people. That's the case. The United States government hates the Slavic people. They just want them to die in a meat grinder against each other. And that's it. That's the narrative that's being pushed. It's just a fact. They call the Russians orcs. They dehumanize the Russians. And they, give more power to the Ukrainians every single day. I'm not here to stand for it at all. Zilch, zip, nada. That's right. Here at the World Anti-Imperialist Platform, we say disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Thank you, folks. Really appreciate it. You know what? I'm glad that we as hardworking Americans can understand that our rug is being pulled right over our eyes. I'm glad that we can understand that. Because without us understanding that, without us understanding the fact that these imperialists like to delude our thoughts with their fake divisions, with their fake divides of Republican and Democrat, with their fake divides of class, of power, or whatever, their fake divides of race especially, you know what? I'm glad we can see past it. I'm glad we can look past it and look at the global elite who's pushing this down upon us. They're pushing down ideology so that we go against each other. How many times have we seen people fighting over trans rights issues every single day? Okay, fight for trans rights issues. Go for it. I'm glad. You know what? Have your fun, right? But you know what? All of that time that you're spent fighting for trans issues or whatever, that's time spent away while people are dying in Ukraine, while people are dying in Gaza. Well, people are dying every day in the poorest parts of the world. We are being conflicted every day. There's conflict being pushed upon us. And it's not our narrative, it's their narrative. And we know it's the media's narrative because the media supports this global elite. The media supports this bourgeois class. The media supports these upper class Americans. The media supports these upper class Europeans. And they want to dilute us lower class Americans and lower class Europeans. Look at them. Look at these NATO clowns as they walk right by us. The press is not covering anything. The press is covering bull crap. The press isn't covering anything about the war crimes being committed by NATO. You know what they are covering? The press is covering the lies that is being told to them, the lies that are being dictated. They don't want to talk about the hundreds of billions of dollars that are going to Ukraine. They don't want to talk about it at all because they don't want to tell it to the American people. They're right there. Let them tell you, hey, come on, press, do your job. I'm waiting. Oh, you know what, folks? I feel like I'm the most noble New York Times reporter in the world because I'm right here talking to you. Their pages probably get thousands and thousands of bot likes, but you know what? I'm looking at you right here. I'm looking at you right here in America, and I'm seeing you face to face. I don't care if you agree, if you disagree, but as long as you're hearing what I have to say, as long as you're listening and engaging in an American dialogue, then I respect you. And these reporters and these NATO criminals, these European NATO criminals, they don't respect anything. They don't respect crap. They don't know anything. They don't know their top from their bottom because their genes are too busy squeezing all the blood to their brain. They don't know anything. You know what we here do? We stand here today and we're standing in front of the heart of the beast. Literally the White House where Sleepy Joe's taking his afternoon nap. We're standing right here. You know, I can see him. Hold up, let me get my binoculars. All right, oh, look at that. Oh, no. Oh, man, look at that. If you take your binoculars and you look into that White House, you'll see him. He's got kids sitting on his lap. He's eating ice cream, and he's napping at the same time. But you know what he's not doing? He's not supporting American families. He's not supporting anything. He's doing nothing. Because Joe is a crooked little guy. He's a crooked little guy who's got nothing going on up there. You know, you saw him in the debate. You saw him, and I saw him too. But you know what? It's time for him to step down. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to get out of NATO. You know what? I would respect Joe if he knew what was right. If he knew what was right for the world. If he knew that he had to stop pushing the envelope. That's what I would respect. I would respect it if he said, no, you know what, we're done here. My American people are suffering too much. My American people are dying here. You know what, if he just put down that, like, Zelensky cocaine addicted, like, notice from his email for 1 minute and looked out of his window to see the homeless people of Washington, D.C., then he would realize that his cause is not just at all. His cause is a cause for the bourgeoisie. His cause is a cause for the upper class Americans who are oppressing us. His cause is not a cause for the people. His cause is a cause for those who line their pockets with our tax dollars. Because that's what's the case. That is what is the case. Hundreds of billions. Nobody here can count that high. Nobody here can even realize that even was a number. But he takes it from us. And he does it without even us knowing. $175 billion so far. And more coming. 100 billion more just coming right out. You know why? Because he believes that Putin is the real problem. Putin's the problem. How is Putin the problem? What's Putin done? Well, Putin's going to conquer Europe. All right, why didn't Putin conquer Europe for the past 20 years? Where was he? He was well aware that Europe was ripe for the picking. Ripe for the picking. You know what? Oh, he had a little war in Ukraine. That's what's gonna really. We're gonna show him who's boss. We're gonna stop him in Ukraine, and we're gonna make sure every Ukrainian dies before he even gets an inch more of land. But you know what? That's happening. The Ukrainians are going to their deaths. They're dying en masse, and that's what's happening. And the West is pushing it. The Russians are pushing for peace because they know they don't want an extended war. The Ukrainians don't want an extended war, but it's being pushed upon them. They're like, oh yes, please, fight your war with Russia. We need you to. But you know who's not dying in this war? Americans. Americans aren't dying at all. Americans are sitting up here, watching their high castle, while the Palestinians in Gaza are butchered, while the Ukrainians in Ukraine are being butchered. And you know what we do here? We just let them take our tax dollars and send those Ukrainians to die. That's what we do. I love Ukraine. I love Ukraine more than any other. I've got family in Ukraine. My dad fought in Ukraine. And you know what? I don't stand here. I don't stand here because I love Ukraine. I stand here because I hate the Ukrainian repression of the Russian people. I stand here today because I hate the Ukrainian repression of the Slavic people. They believe that they're not Slavic. They believe that they're some kind of higher race. I don't care. Whatever. They are put Nazis in positions of power to push this ideology onto the regular Ukrainian so that they can just pull them right out of their homes, conscript them and send them to die. Because that's ultimately what we want. Our most valuable resource is our soldiers' lives. And we have found a way out. We have found a way just to kill every Ukrainian before an American soldier loses his life. How smart. You know what, maybe, Joe, I underestimated you. You are a real crooked, evil bastard. That's right. You're a real crooked, evil bastard. And I didn't even realize before. I don't even realize the extent of your crookedness. You're so crooked you put the hunchback of Notre Dame to shame. That's right. You're the crookedest little crook that I've ever seen walk in this White House, and I've seen a lot of crooks walk out into this White House. Nixon wasn't as much of a crook as you. Nixon is the crookest crook, and you've out-crooked him. You're a criminal, leading a criminal organization of criminals. And you know what? I don't care. Because our people in America are dying, are starving. When we serve our police here, we're supposed to be defending our neighborhoods. We're supposed to be defending our streets. We're putting them in to defend Europeans. Look at this hard-working Secret Service agent right here. He could be defending the President of the United States. You know what he's doing? He's out here defending some European assholes from Belgium. Belgium. That's right. That's putting our tax dollars to work. This is a hard-working guy right here, out in the sun all day. You know what? He's put here because of these European assholes. And I don't stand for it at all. I don't stand for it a single bit. I stand for the American people. I stand for the American flag. I don't give a shit what NATO flag flies in front of the White House. They are not American. They're European colonists, and we fought against European colonialism to found this country. We are Americans. We support the American working class. We are united. Disband NATO!
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 Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Thank you very much.
NATO's gonna lose, Biden's gonna lose, Kamala's out on a booze cruise, and guess what? The criminal regime here in Washington, which claims to represent the American people, has decided instead of spending money on bridges, roads, healthcare, housing for the American people and working families, is sending money to Israel and NATO. Israel and NATO. One that's committing a genocide against the people of Palestine, the other which is trying to start World War III by provoking a general war in Europe. And we Americans are paying for it. We're paying for it out of our money. Here's my wallet. Take it, Joe. It's right here. You need the extra $5? I got you, man. $5 for a bomb that's going to kill a Palestinian child dropped by an Israeli war criminal that's going to spend their summer vacation in Miami Beach, Florida, baking in the rays. And guess what? It doesn't end after this NATO summit. Guess what? Guess who's coming to dinner in July? Netanyahu! Mr. Netanyahu, Mr. Bibi, Mr. Likud, Mr. I want to commit genocide and has committed genocide against the people of Palestine. That's who's coming to Washington. The House invited him. The House Republicans. Oh, the Republicans are so America first. They want to put America first unless that comes in contradiction with Israel. The Republicans and the Democrats are not putting America first. They're putting Israel first, and they're putting Ukraine first. We and the American people demand that we put America only. It is our taxpayer dollars that should be going to American working families, building roads, infrastructure, housing, getting rid of homelessness. It should be going toward that. It should not be going to more foreign wars. It should not be going to imperialism. It should not be going to all this genocide funding that Joe Biden's doing. And guess what, Joe? It doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get the Arab vote back. You're not going to get the youth vote back. We're not voting for you, genocide, Joe. Fuck you. And yeah, if that results in Trump winning, then so be it. It's more of the same. Trump's just going to fund NATO. Trump's going to fund NATO. Trump's going to fund the EU. Trump's going to fund the genocide in Palestine. There's no effective difference foreign policy-wise. It's the same policy. And we as American people need to stop taking part in this kabuki theater, in this joke of a political system we have that's run by super PACs, Wall Street, K Street here in DC, the big banks that is committing genocide against the peoples of the world. It's time we say no, not in our name, not in the name of the American working families and the American people. Are you going to spend our taxpayer dollars? And we're not going to vote for your candidates that are spending our taxpayer dollars funding genocide, funding war, and funding regime change across the world. It's time for the American people to stand up and stop voting for these two parties and stop supporting these politicians, these greedy politicians lining their coffers while American children suffer, while 1 in 4 American children go hungry every day. It's time to end this. It's time to end this criminal capitalist system. It's time to build a system of the people, of the people, by the people, for the people, and for the American working class. We are done with NATO. We are done with the foreign wars. We are not supporting the genocide. And we are not supporting Jim Crow Genocide Joe. That's his name. Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Free, free Palestine!
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 From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Thank you.
Hundreds of billions of dollars are being stolen from you. Hundreds of billions.
NATO is going straight to hell. Joe Biden is going where, my friend?
Straight to hell!
Trump, for assassinating Soleimani and doing his imperialism, is going where?
Straight to hell!
Jens Stoltenberg and all the NATO leadership are going where, my friends?
Straight to hell!
That's right. Don't get it twisted, folks. That's where he's going. That's where they're all going one day.
And you know what? That's where they belong. Because every American imperialist belongs right there with them. Because these American imperialists are not even American. I'm a patriotic American. I support the America of our founding fathers. I don't support the America of our crony capitalist leaders. They are losers, they are liars, they are cheaters, and they want to fund NATO so they can line their own pockets and with the deaths of Ukrainian children. That's what they do. They keep pushing for war, and they're pushing for more war, and that's all they will continue to do. We don't support Putin. We don't support China. We don't support anyone but America. Because we understand that America is the one country that can stop us all. We understand that America is the anti-imperialist powerhouse that it can be as long as it stops for NATO. Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!